Saints Row is back, and in some ways it's bigger than ever. Developer Deep Silver Volition is restarting things with a new take on the origin of the Saints gang in the new city of Santo, Ileso. This decently large-looking map is an homage to the American Southwest, and outside of some returning stores and other nods to the original 4 games, this is a completely new story with no direct connections. There is quite a lot to unpack in the 26-minute-long direct feed preview that we were invited to watch, so let's get into it. The Saints do not exist at the start of the game. Instead, you are on a journey to become a highly customizable in every damned way, seriously, you can look like almost anything you want, boss. That boss is part of a group of 4 friends made up from each of the rival factions in the city. You and your roommates eventually tire of being stuck at the bottom rung of organizations that don't seem to care about you at all and begin assembling your own crew with your player character at the head of it all. The preview started out with a basic robbery mission with you and your friends robbing a payday loan store. Graphically, the cutscenes are quite stylized and looked pretty damn good. Voice acting was more hit or miss, with the main character sounding oddly robotic in how her dialogue was delivered. After what appears to be a successful job, the cops quickly arrive and the new sideswipe mechanic is showcased. Acting as both a battering ram and light speed boost while driving, you can quickly dart to the left or right to wreck any car in your way. Despite the goofy tones of things, the player murdered indiscriminately in this footage with a seeming emphasis on fun over all else. The game feels more grounded than Saints Row 3 did, but it's still more over the top than 2. After blowing up a dozen or so cop cars, the player ran into a group from the Los Panteros gang. They've destroyed the player's switch car for parts, so like any good psychopath, the player guns them all down with what looked to be both solid and weighty feeling combat. Button prompts were not shown on the UI, so it's unclear where the game was being played or with what particular input device, however. Happily enough, enemies were not too bullet spongy, with only a few headshots needed to take out most of the rabble. The main thing showcased here, though, was the finisher, where the player character stuck a grenade down the pants of an enemy and then threw them 20 feet into their friends, blowing them and their vehicles sky high. We got shown a little more driving with some ridiculously unrealistic physics in a cutscene, followed up by a random event in the open world, where the player character attempted to, and successfully, procured cash from inside of an armored car with a whole lot of explosives. This brought in, of course, more police, who were viciously dispatched by our psychotic hero. After making a quick getaway, we were shown a side mission in which the new car surfing mechanic was showcased. Like always, things had gone wrong and the cops were in hot pursuit. You can shoot out the window with a limited amount of movement, or you can climb up on top of your moving vehicle and have a full 360 degrees of firing freedom. After a quick trip to the cowboy store to change outfits, we got to see the car ejection into wingsuit traversal system. After a quick jump onto the roof of a building, the player ejected out of their vehicle, which does require the ejection seat mod to be installed. They then used their wingsuit to fly around the city, and as long as there are pedestrians in your line of sight, with the press of a button you can dive down and bounce off their heads, comically ejecting back up and continuing your flight. They showed off multiple missions, one of which was blasting your way into a factory using a ridiculously powerful looking attack helicopter. After dispatching all the enemies outside, the player landed on the roof and changed up their perks using the phone-based UI to counter the flame attacks of the gang inside. Quickly changing up your look, your perks, and your weapons on the fly appears to be a major part of how the game balances its difficulty. They give you a lot of tools at your disposal, and they are constantly trying to get you to use them. This does appear to be a very big game, and you seem to have quite a bit of agency in how you approach it. Ventures are one of the main ways you will grow your business, and there are 14 of them in total, with 5 levels for each one. These ventures are how you open up both customization options, such as the vehicle garage, and gain access to certain side missions. As you unlock more areas of the map, you gain access to all of the customization options that have been showcased so far in their preview footage. And we were told that none of what has been showcased publicly is tied to a DLC or microtransaction and can be earned entirely in-game. The depth of these customizations is staggering, especially when it comes to the player boss character. The biggest part of this preview for me personally was finding out about the cooperative play. The entire game is 100% available in drop-in, drop-out co-op. While nothing was said about crossplay, the progression system seems like it might have finally solved the issues I have with games like Far Cry. While completing missions as a co-op partner, the game does not complete it in your single-player campaign, but it does check it off on your account level, so that once you hit that mission in your own playthrough, you can skip it if you so choose. And you get all the experience and the rewards for doing it while in co-op. Having this choice on if I want to replay a mission I've already completed or not is great, as most other games simply don't record if you did or did not already beat something in a friend's game and make you have to replay the entire thing. The game does appear to be a two-player cooperative experience in the footage we were shown. The Mayhem event was used to show off that cooperative play, and it lived up to its name as each player was given unlimited RPG ammo and was tasked with destroying as much of the city as they could, with dollar amounts capping off each explosion. Once they hit $4 million in damage and the goal was reached, the mission was done. The preview footage then finished off with a massive main story mission where you were attempting to rescue a kidnapped friend. We then finished things off with a question and answer session, where we learn that the UI is joining in that highly customizable fun. You can do things such as turn off health bars and more elements as you wish, and there is a giant emphasis on accessibility features. Multiple ways to change the difficulty, deal with motion sickness, and ways to help with hearing and vision disabilities were among those settings highlighted. The biggest takeaway from the Q&A was that they want this to feel like a living and breathing world where things are never stale or empty, at least in the city areas, as there was quite a large desert locale shown off early on. And that's it. The gameplay looked really solid and fun, and while the story wasn't the most interesting, it wasn't boring. And the graphics looked great while running at a solid 60 FPS, though we're not sure exactly on what hardware. I'd guess PC. The dev stated, "The game is done, and it's in its toughest phase, polishing." Saints Row is due to arrive on August 23rd on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, and after seeing this gameplay, I am pretty darned excited to get my hands on it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really makes YouTube happy. We'll see you here next time on XboxEra.